Good evening, everyone. A beautiful time. I'm sorry I'm coming a few minutes late, transiting. I want to thank everybody who followed me. I want to thank everybody who joined me in our anniversary. It was an amazing moment, a time to challenge status quo, to redefine standard and invite people to a higher life. I like the fact that several people attended. Thank you for everyone who made it there. I'm excited today on leadership. In my course of leadership, I did what we call the mediative leadership. That was what I explore, because I'm interested in seeing people live their better life, because no matter what happened, no matter what you have experienced in life or what you're experiencing in life, I can assure you that there's a better you. And that's why we want to bring you to that point where you have to consistently lead yourself to a better you, to find a better you, to find a more authentic you, to find a more powerful you, because it enhances your power of choice and decision, whether it's financial, whether it's marketing, whether it's whatever it is in leadership. And the more reason I'm more interested in self-leadership is because once you lead yourself, once you practicalize leadership, once you become the lab of leadership, once you become the place to explore leadership, a place where you test and validate all your concept about leadership, what happened that it becomes a natural thing for you to bring yourself, for you to lead this leadership. I know sometimes leadership is almost seen as a status, as an assignment, but we have never been able to understand that leadership is an art of betterment. Whether it's going to influence people, whether it's going to impact people, but the true leadership is going to come from leading yourself to a better you, to a higher you, to a more authentic you, to a more powerful you, to a more meaningful you, purposeful you, where you become more compassionate. And because once you're more compassionate, you realize you are loving more, and it is easy to lead people. So for me, leadership it starts from me leading myself. So I don't force leadership, but I live leadership. There's two different things. When you force, that's where you're stressful, that's where you're discouraged, that's where you're looking for effect, that's where you're looking for signs to show that you're on top. No. For me, leadership has become more natural because it's something that I find delight in it. I find fun in it. That's why I explore more. That's how I see the wonders. That's how I see the joy and the creativity. That's why I see the creativity and the love. Once you can't find joy in leading people, it certainly means, thank you, Collins, for joining. Amazing time with us. Thank you, Stephen, for joining us on this leadership stuff. I mean, we really need to come and redefine this incredible thing. Thank you, Adeze, for joining. Amazing people. Invite other people, because today we're going to be looking at about 5 things that we're going to check about leadership. So, like I said, if we begin to live leadership, you see, it's easy not to, you won't be bothered. I know my concept, some people think is too deep, is too out of this world, but is it not time we reevaluate all the patterns that we recognize? Because I recognize patterns. I mean, I realize patterns and I notice patterns, I observe patterns. And I'm always going to merge them. How effective, how efficient is this leadership? Isn't it sometimes we explore other options to have in the menu of leadership? Which one could I adopt? Which model should I adopt? Which strategy should I adopt? And the more I experiment leadership and live leadership, it's so natural. It's unforcing. There's no stress in it. In fact, it's joyful. It's a delight. Stay in leadership by living leadership. And once you live leadership, it's very easy. Go back to what we have said, that leadership is relationship with yourself. Somebody asked me, thank you, Tony, for joining. Somebody asked me, do you feel lonely? I said, no, I don't feel lonely. He said, why? I can't feel lonely because I have a lot of interaction within myself. I have a lot of experimentation to carry on myself. Does that mean I don't want people? I love to be around people because the richness of interconnectedness is so powerful. But you can be so useless even in the midst of people, because maybe you are looking for external validation, you are looking at external recognition, you are looking at external honor, you are looking at external of everything. No, everything is within me. And I wish I have known this. I don't seek for honor. I am honor to express honor. So if I'm looking about honor, I mean, literally, I walk into my office the other day. I went to my second office, and I went with a journalist who was doing a documentary, wanted to find out about my leadership because heard about my leadership. Pleasant evening, Miracle. Thank you for joining us. Kalio, I didn't hear from you yesterday. You still owe me congratulatory message on our 8th anniversary. So I'm expecting that. I told Zina about it. Anyway, thank you. Yeah, Tony, thank you for coming. So, and now when I went with this reporter, so I got into my office. Now, usually I'm the managing director and the CEO of the organization. So I walked into our warehouse, and everybody was working, and nothing changed. They were at their best. There was nobody changed situation to say, oh, guys are around. It didn't happen. Then he come back to my office in GROA. The same thing happened. He now asked me, how did you get to this point that you make people comfortable so that even your presence? And I said, number one, they know that I have relationship with myself. I am honor. I will first of all give them honor. In fact, what fascinated her was when I got in there, the first thing I did was to greet the security man. And the security man laughed back at me. And what happened? Thank you, Sugar, for joining us. Yeah, thank you. I received the congratulations. Thank you, Daniel. Now I was leading, I consciously lead that honor, recognizing them because it's relationship. Leadership is relationship, and relationship would be with yourself first. Then leadership is presence. Presence is something that is relatable. Last time we talked about leadership is actionable, something people can relate to it, so that it's easier for them to visualize it, have a picture of it, and have that experimentation that has been experimented by the leader. And now it is about performance. But now, so she said, okay, so nobody changed, but you greeted them. How did you get to that point? And I said, if I enjoy leading myself, it will become an act of expression rather than an act of expectation. There's an act of expression or there's an act of expectation. And true leadership is an act of expression. He said, oh, won't you make you weak? It is weak people that think weak. Because you see, when you're in leadership and you start considering, oh, will they honor me? Will they obey me? You have lost it already. You lost it. I'm not going to think about it. You will obey me because what are you going to obey? I'm obedient myself. You see how the beauty of leadership is self-leadership that has self-relationship, self-presence, and self-responsibility, which is performance. Once it's in that level, it's very easy. I tell you what, my security man knows if he's not there, I'll open the gate. Yeah, but you're paying him. I'm paying him, yes, but does not mean I'm going to depend on him. He knows that if he doesn't act, his character does not conform to performance, will sack him. Not me will sack him. Because nobody sack you, you sack yourself. So, if nobody sack you, you sack yourself. Meaning, you don't live. Leadership is not expectation. Leadership is expression. And once you get into that flow of expectation, you are full. But once you are drained in leadership, it's expectation. That's why people say, I'm stressed. That's why people say it's difficult to lead people. No, it's not difficult to lead people. Thank you, Daniel, for joining us. So leadership is self-experimentation, self-exploration, self-expression, and like now, before you experience. So if I bring experience, quality experience, so I learned something. Like usually when I go somewhere, I learn something. Thank you, Faithful, for joining us. And I learned something. There was a time I was doing cocktail. I was doing cocktail in my office for quarterly. What I wanted to bridge was because I do cocktail within myself. So I get in, I'm in a meeting. So I wear some cloth and I set in the order of how cocktails are done, how it's served. So I'm experimenting it mentally in a vision form. Now I will stay in my house. And when I stay in my house, I will experience cocktail, how I dress, how I talk, how I'm going to introduce myself, how I'm going to restrain myself, how I'm going to mix. So when I go anywhere now and I'm, like over there, it's not strange. Because why? I have already experienced it, explored it. So now it's not an expectation. So I carry my idea, of what it is. The richer it is within you, the richer you can find it outside. But the poorer it is in you, the dissatisfaction is outside. So why we are experiencing leadership is because people are under the weight of leadership. And I feel that external pressure is killing leaders. Oh, Patrick, how will people conform? How did you conform? Because if you look at yourself, the process of even internalizing those things, those attributes of leadership, the process of disengaging your old habits and introducing a new habit. Some people say it takes 14 days. I don't know about that, or 21 days. So if it takes you 21 days, why do you think it will take just an instant for your follower to follow you? You see how leadership must be experimented within, so you can understand what it will take for people to recalibrate their mind, reinstall a new software within their region. So if you understand that, it will not be stressful. But we don't experiment it, so we expect people rather than to express it. So first and foremost, I recall that. So one day, I had gone into a toilet, and the toilet wasn't what I think what my idea how it should look. So, and I have asked my assistant. See, nomenclature is also very important. I say my house assistant. I don't call them my house staff, because when you use those tools, you begin to form, because leadership have language. Great effective leadership have language. The kind of language you use will determine how you have experienced that language and how it has worked for you and how it's going to work for the other person. You can't call me an idiot and expect me to behave like an excellent person. So you see, what I did, and I called her, I said, okay, you know what? Give me this, give me XYZ, give me XYZ. I started expressing that restroom. I did it, and he said, do you know how this is? He said, yes. Okay, don't worry, I'm going to do it 3 times. Watch me. I'm paying for that person. But how do you expect what you cannot do than another person to do it? You see why it's not expectation, it's an experimentation. So now, the more I had experimented it with this person, the next time I saw her, she had gone above that. But let me tell you where I got this concept of self-experimentation. I got it from a particular gentleman. I've read so much about him. His name is Elisha. Elisha was a very successful businessman. And he has done well, but needed to move higher into another degree of some sort of leadership, and have gotten a mentor who symbolizes that leadership model. So he decided to go and experiment a new mental this. So he started with himself. He gave up himself and became, so he experimented this. Now, when the guy was about to depart, he asked for something, what we called double portion. And so he got it. Now he got another person who was under him. This person was living underneath self-experimentation, but was looking for always external validation, not internal validation. External honor, not internal honor. If a man, a leader, is secured, he will not suspect people. Because suspicion is a function of distrust. You say, but people are like that. Listen, you see, one of the things we don't understand that we are human energy. Our internal reality mirrors outside. And people connect to our internal reality more than our physical reality. Because you will see the softness, you will see the naturalness, you will see the coherence, you will see the vital. It's a beautiful to see. When you understand leadership from yourself, I don't need anybody. If you don't want to follow, but you will see that I'm effective. You will see there's efficiency. You will see the naturalness. You see how stressful. Sometimes people come down to my office, my colleague, and they see me dance, and they don't understand what I'm doing. I'm not going to be under stress leading you. No. I won't be stressful leading people. It's not me then. So that's what I'm saying. It is powerful for you to know that leadership is self first. If you lead yourself to a better place, it is very easy to communicate it facially to lead to people. No force over there. And I like to lead myself into betterment. And I have evidence by the grace of God, really. Because Everything I hear something anywhere, I will come and add it into like what we're going to ask now. We're going to talk about 5 things that really bring out distinguished leaders. And check it. The first one I'm going to bring is what I call attention and awareness. I've been talking about awareness and attention. You see, how far you will go in your leadership, in your career, in your relationship is a function of awareness and attention. See, I'm aware about money. I understand the principle of money. I understand the energy of money. I understand the circulation principle of money. I understand the hoarding of money. I understand the mental energy that creates money. Yeah, but when you dance and people they are not criticizing you. Thank you for this. They are operating from their let's use the word lower self, and in a dimension of delight, because if leadership is not delightsome, you won't find wonder. If leadership is not fun, you can't find exploration. So in leadership, first of all, is fun and exploration. Leadership is delight and wonders. When your leadership is not finding wonder, then that means you are not, it's discouraging. And when you get into a discouraged mood, that's why it's a bitterness and all that said, stress. If bitterness is not creativity, like in abundance, you will not find love in leadership. If leadership is not fun, like joyful, you cannot find curiosity. Think about these 4 concepts. They are powerful in leadership. So leadership must be fun to explore. Leadership must be delightful to find wonders. Leadership must be creative to find love. Leadership must be joyful to find curiosity. Because these are things that are really powerful in your leadership strategy to see an advancement. I mean, I've been in leadership for the past, let's say that I've been fully in leadership for almost like 20 years now. You know, from where I was the CEO of my former organization until when I had become the managing director of the organization. And I mean, I oversees about 4 organizations currently around me and all that. And that's a powerful thing, really, to have about 20 years. And of course, I've gone to, my PhD was in leadership. So when I'm talking, I'm not just talking about this experiential, something that has happened and something I have read. And now I can speak really from the depth of the bowels of my heart. And because they are the flow with which on a daily basis that governs like a landscape, a structure that helped me. So people cannot criticize you. In fact, one of the things I have learned now in last week, because I'm working, I'm not going to criticize the president, anybody in leadership any longer. Don't forget, what you sow comes back to you. So the Spirit of God has just told me, stop criticizing. The day I just asked a friend of mine, what about what's happening about the president? He said, have you noticed that I don't speak about people in authority? Whoosh! And from that moment, I'm learning that I don't speak about leadership any longer. Because the more you criticize leadership, the more you leave a seed of criticism. Will they do well? I don't know. Something, they think they will tell you they are the best leaders. So I dance. I really dance. But let me focus on AA. Attention and awareness. Let me tell you. Every time you're leading and you're focusing on the people, you lose yourself. Every time you're leading people and you focus on the people, you lose yourself. Your attention must be in your landscape. I learned that from a guy called Joseph. You know, Joseph was deployed this strategy Attention and awareness. Attention and awareness is a powerful truth of leadership. When you look at circumstance have a way and language. It has its energy. If you look at circumstance and flow with the flow of circumstance, you are drawn to the attributes of circumstance. But let me tell you, Joseph have already created a landscape in his mental construction and model. So his attention was who he was. So whether Joseph was going to be in prison, whether he's going to be as a servanthood, what was his point was he was focusing attention of who he was. How he was treated was insignificant. How he was accepted was insignificant. How he was criticized was insignificant. Because once you lose, you see, that's why leadership is leading yourself, experimenting through within yourself. So he looked at himself always. Man, you're a leader. Lead yourself into betterment. So he was aware of his capacity. He was aware of his contribution. He's aware of his skills. He's aware of his weaknesses. He's aware of his struggles. Because there are two things a leader must make sure they do not overwhelm you. You must understand your pain and understand your pleasure. If any of them overshadow you, you will collapse. Two things, two powerful things, pain and pleasure. You must master them. They must not master you. And that's why it's critical to always look at yourself. You know, people think that, oh, you're weak, oh, the man is weak, you take advantage. Nobody will take advantage of a great leader. Because they don't look at what people are doing. They're looking about who they are. Because they're putting attention on themselves, and they're putting attention and they are aware of themselves. We lose our awareness of who we are, our capability in the face of difficulty. So it's important to understand that what is critical, because the essence of personal leadership experimentation is once that lab is created, it becomes a model, it becomes a framework, it becomes a guiding principle. So you must always look at it. That's why I say, look into the scroll. Look into the scroll, because when I read something as a child of God, I like to have leadership in Bible. The first thing I realized, when the children of Israel were going to have leaders, it was saying that if there's anything you are going to do, first and foremost, don't take your eyes out of the law. So self-leadership experimentation create a law, create boundaries, create a guiding principle that will guide you. And so that's why your attention must be on that thing. Before I leave my house, most times, I could factor how I'm going to express our meetings, how I'm going to work on that day. It's on my head. The moment you take your eyes off that, you lose it. That's why attention and awareness is a key factor in advancing your leadership into betterment. Awareness and attention. Be aware of your inner capacity. Be aware of your inner skills. Be aware of your strength. Be aware of your energy. Once you have that awareness and you focus on yourself, you really can master, because you now become an observer. Number two, even though this could have been the other way, number two is what I call the design and alignment. Leadership is an art that needs to be designed. You see, when you look at the architect have, first of all, they design and give to the construction engineer. Leadership that will not stress you, that will lead you to a higher ground, must be consciously, intelligently, carefully designed. You must design your leadership model. You must design your leadership strategy. You must design, it's like a flow chart. If you don't have a flow chart of your leadership, then you are going by feelings. And most leaders go by feeling. And that's where frustration comes in. That's where stress comes in. That's where discouragement, because you have not sat down to design intentionally, purposefully, consciously. I designed my leadership. This afternoon, I was designing a mechanism that I'm going to experiment in the next 30 days. And I'm going to be experimenting it within myself. Once I perfect it, I'll start deploying it into my organization. I sneak it, and because I lived it, it's just very easy to talk about it. It's very easy to live it, because leadership is living it. And until you live it, it's not leadership. So forget about political leadership. They are not political, they are business people. Because when it comes into proper, because if you tell me, be disciplined, I want to demonstrate, I want you to show me that I'm disciplined, like the former minister who said Nigerians should look for alternative of riding bicycle. I hear in Abuja he started driving, he parked his car and started driving bicycle. That is leadership by design and alignment. So if you don't have a design structure, framework, it's difficult to align your leadership. And that's where most leadership struggle comes in. They don't even know whether there's a what they call leadership model. Which one should I use? There are many leadership models, a lot of them. Whether you want to be democratic, whether you want to be this, there are a lot of them if you read. But you need to be able to demonstrate your own through your identity, because once your identity is not in leadership, you struggle. I know what I can do, I know what I cannot do. For instance, I am too careful to forgive. And people think it's weakness or he's too merciful. So now, because I understand, I have designed a system where the HRO will be able to take action, because I won't be able to take those actions. You see why it's good for you to have a designed structure that governs your leadership, because you'll be able to know your weakness, you'll be able to know your strength, you'll be able to know your energy, you'll be able to know your emotional engineering, how it is all come together, your mental capacity, because not everybody will lead people. Not everybody. So you see, when you have design and alignment, what it means that, you see, that brings you back to where you have awareness and attention. You don't live from that design. It has to consistently be in your face. It has to be your guiding principle. Once you shift, you will know. Then the next one is what we call acceptance and allowance. Acceptance and allowance. How does it link up to attention and awareness? How does it link up to design and alignment? What is acceptance? Frankly, majority of people have not accepted themselves wholly. You see why you need to experiment. You become bold, you become strong, you become courageous, because criticism will come, misalignment will come, misrepresentation will come, and people who will defame you will come. Even your people within your constitution, you will hear, they will criticize you, they will misalign you, they will gossip you. I am not interested in people's gossip. I am not interested. Why? I have accepted myself. So what it does, that if you make a mistake, you are vulnerable around it. I talk about my mistake everywhere. And people say, why are you telling your story? I tell my story because I've accepted myself, what I call radical acceptance. Am I going to give in to weakness? No. My weakness are visible so that I can modify it. That's why I'm leading myself into betterment. So you can see my story and you can relate with it that yes, this person was coming to work late. This person was dressing shabbily. This person was weak in financial management. Oh, this person was weak in over there. But yet, with careful acceptance of you, because let me tell you, why you feel to be validated because you've not really accepted yourself. Why you feel to be honored, you've not honored yourself. Why you feel that, oh, people should... Listen, if it is natural that you are in a place of honor, you won't seek honor, you express honor. Now, what is allowance? Acceptance and allowance. This is where it is. Most times we are too hard on ourselves. And once you are hard on yourself, you're going to be hard on people. But when you give yourself allowance, but with intention to progress, because it's a progress, what it does is 5 things it actually does. Number 1, you start self-trust. Until you accept yourself radically, you wear cloth, you want to find out whether the cloth is good. I'm not just saying just for making sure you are in alignment. That's a different thing. But if you wear the cloth, you start trusting your decision. You start trusting your choice because you've accepted yourself. Because now you're not afraid of failure or mistakes when they do occur. Because it was an intention, of course, because you already have a design that you align with. You now start, your actions are matching with the design. So acceptance and alignment is a powerful tool. So when you make allowance, it means that you can make allowance to other people. Let me share example. So I'm just saying this for clarification. I have my colleague one time who has made a mistake, and that mistake was consuming her. Ooh. Honestly, she really wanted to resign. And she used to call me and say, I'm wondering why you have not let me go. You have not sacked me. Now, I looked at that critically. What was intention? The intention was to save the company money, but yet went into wrong decision. Yes, you flattered a dependable policies as well too. So I took her out and I told her, let me tell you, if you don't redeem yourself and you live in negative, you are going to be taunted all your life. You have to stay back to redo the mistake and reclaim. So when you want to go, you go on high. If you don't go on high, you will live perpetually in the low. That's what they call the shadow, your shadow self. And people are living their shadow self because they did not accept themselves and make allowance when there was a mistake. And the same thing, that's how we lose relationship. We lose the best of our hands because we do not accept ourselves, because we're too critical of ourselves, we are too judgmental of ourselves, and that has reduced our potency, to know that we can adjust into betterment. So acceptance and allowance is a tool that will help. So once you have experienced that total acceptance, it's very easy to accept people. It's also are you saying, so today really, this one happened today. I didn't know how I have grown in terms of non-reaction because I've been working on reactive leadership. So I got back today. The security man has left the tap going, and the whole house was really full with water. Of course, I called him and said, hey, there's plenty of water in this house. I don't know what you have done. My tone, my energy. Now, I've accepted the fact that it has happened. And I've also made an allowance because one day I was boiling water and I left upstairs and I slept off. You see why self-leadership is so powerful to dictate the tone and the pace of how you relate with your followers. or your subordinate, and I've gone upstairs and I slept for 24 hours, if not for the grace of God, maybe the house would have got burnt. You now see, because I accepted that, I made that mistake. And I give myself allowance. Now, if I'm boiling water, no matter what is tempting, I will first of all stay down once I finish one before I move another one. Because just that movement that truncated my attention. That's why attention and awareness is so powerful in leadership. So now what did I do? When she came in, I've already rolled down and I was packing the water. There was no energy, and I say, see what you have done. There's always consequence to our action. See, one action that you have done had led into destruction like this. You see this place of water is dropping everywhere. But he saw me packing. Another person will be so furious. Another person will be so irritated. Another person, I'm not saying you shouldn't, but it's a level. Don't forget, leadership is level. It's about frequency. It's about development. It's about mental development. And all that comes into place. But today, when he saw it, and I wasn't nagging, because there was an acceptance, and that's a model of acceptance and allowance. That's how these things work. And guess what? He was calm to deal with the issues. He said, okay, leave. Let me close it out. His creativity was amplified. His strength was not depleted. You know, his attention was over there. He finished it. Oh man. I mean, he got in here. He did an apology. This thing won't happen again. What helped me to manage that situation was acceptance and allowance. That's how they all connect. This thing I'm telling you, if you check all leadership, you may not find it. What am I doing? I am bringing my day-to-day reality to be able to create a model, and I'm just sharing it. It may be difficult to stand, but if you give attention to it, you will see. Now, the next one is what I call the self-referencing and acknowledgement. Self-referencing. You know, I learned that from a guy called David. He was such a person who loved self-referencing. The lion I killed, the bear I killed. Have you seen why leadership is an experimentation within yourself? You see, David, I feel, went into a lab of leadership experimentation. Created a design, a model. It was inside before the leadership. When you compare the leadership of David and Saul, you realize that Saul was a spoiled child who has no experimentation. He has not even led himself, and he made opinion of people were more important. It wasn't important to David what people said. Even when they were asking, oh, David did this, it didn't get into his head. That's why no matter what award I get, wherever I am and all that, honestly, it doesn't puff my head. In fact, once I achieve something, it looks like I'm almost feel like it's gone. Why? Self-referencing is so powerful. I do a whole lot of validation before I leave my office, before I leave my house. I reference myself. And that's why when you experiment leadership, even from how you set up your room, like for instance, I make my bed on a daily basis. Because I concluded that, I would tell myself, you're the complete. Something like that. You can't go incomplete. When I finish it, I honor myself. You're a place of honor. When I finish something, I'm able to recognize it. That's where we talk about attention and awareness. Be aware of what you're doing. Recently, I like to wash plates. Now, it becomes so natural to me. It becomes so natural to me. Like, you know how tired you are. But now, because of self-referencing and acknowledgement, when I wash that plate, I'm happy. And I say, hey, this is really nice. So the more you do that, and that's why you see, when you go to your office, when you see people who has done well, You acknowledge them. You self-reference them. It's very easy because you have acknowledged yourself, and that's self-referencing, and it also help you. You know, they say, I don't want to press them so that it will not get into their head. No. Is it getting into your head? If it's getting into your head, then it will get into their head. But if it will not get into your head, it won't get into your head. It is natural. Self-referencing and acknowledgement is powerful. That's what makes us authentic leader. And that's why you pay yourself. I call it. If nobody recognizes it, it won't disturb you. If nobody acknowledges it, it's already natural. And so you can give it. The last one, and if you have any question, please, so that we can do question and answer, we'll take it. The last one, deep connection. Deep connection. I feel that leadership is too shallow. Oh, you want people to recognize you. You want your chair to be in a certain way. You want a certain car. It's no problem. But you see, deep connection. Deep connection. Deep connection is so powerful. Have a connection with your core. When you get upset because of what people do consistently, it erodes your quality. When you fall under the pressure of criticism, it erodes your quality. When loss is calm and you fell in the trap of that lost energy, you erode your connection. As a leader, your deep connection is so powerful. People are not connected with themselves. And that's why it's difficult for you to connect with your colleagues. But when you begin to sit down, let me tell you how I do deep connection. On a daily basis, I take out quality 15 minutes and I stay with myself. I connect with myself authentically. I connect with my thoughts. I connect with my feeling. I connect with my emotion. I connect with my perspectives. Then when I have connected myself, I deepen my conviction, because deep connection brings you deep conviction and deep courage. And once you get into a conviction, like, it's difficult for anybody to underrate you or berate you. No. You realize that your life is, like, people might think that you are proud. No. There's a deep connection that you have yourself, unshakable. And you won't be looking about trivial things like, oh, who greets you or who doesn't greet you. That's trivial. Oh, who is looking or what are they saying? No, because there's a deep connection. And when men have deep connection, I've watched leaders who have deep connections. They are high flyers. Majority of high flyers have deep connection. I recall when my boss was, doing, and I walked up to my boss and I told my boss I'm leaving the office. He said, "Well, do you have another job?" I said, "No, I don't have another job." And I just told my boss that if I can create this kind of money over here, I can create another money for myself. And really, I love my job, but I do not have headroom. I've been this place. He said, "What are you going to?" You see, that deep connection, the conviction was assertive. I wasn't emotional, but I was speaking from a deep self. And by the time I finished talking with my boss, I got a promotion instantly. They moved me from manager straight to CEO, COO, Chief Operating Officer. That day, he made a commitment to say, "Hey, XYZ must be done." Because I could see, I'm not going to, whether my boss is around or not boss, my deep connection with myself will make me productive. Not, if you give me targets, my target will be more than what I have given myself. People talk about, my boss is trusting me because they gave him a target. No, I will give myself target before a target, official target, is given to me. Why? I'm connected myself because I need to be productive. I need to be efficient. Because if I go to work and I cannot contribute 3 times my salary, I'm not productive. Even as a managing director, there are times I feel like I have wasted time, wasted organization time, because I couldn't find performance that equates to my design. So deep connection makes you're not going to be under stress of your boss or under authority, because that deep connection will be able to fuel your inspiration. It will be able to be your motivation. It will be able to filter things that would deter you. Deep connection is a tool that most of the high flyers connect. They're unafraid. They're unafraid. I mean, if you lose a job, they'll tell you, hey, we'll create another job. And I learned that from the Lord Jesus Christ. He said, hey, break this temple in 3 days. I will do it. That's a deep connection. That's the power of deep connection. So you see, if you check this model, leadership is self-experimentation. Lead yourself into betterment. It's very natural for you to lead others. But if you don't lead yourself, it's difficult for you to. You cannot tell me give and you're not giving. It's shallow. You cannot tell me come to work early and you're not coming to work early. You cannot tell me be accountable when I cannot see it demonstrated by you. It's not leadership. You cannot tell me respect when I cannot see respect in you. And so that's why it's important that if you lead yourself into betterment, naturally you will lead others. So we have these 5 models. If you have any explanation, if you have any insight, if you have anything to share, we can go ahead to share. Thank you so much. Thank you. I see Uncle William. God bless you for joining. Abigail, Emmanuel, thank you so much for joining. Does anybody have a question? Just drop it, or any feedback. I love the fact that this leadership is taking to a different approach to it. It's very practical. I bring practical insight to leadership. So next time, invite your friends. People are struggling in leadership. Will be able to demonstrate it and find an easy way to lead people and lead ourselves. Thank you so much, everybody joining. I really do appreciate your presence. So thank you so much. This is one hour talking. If you do have any issue about leadership, please reach out to me. I'm able to help. Maybe not totally, but I'm able to share some insight and will take off some burden out of you. Anywhere you're finding a challenge, I have a PhD in leadership strategy. I want to be able to unleash it continually. So thank you so much. It was really good having everybody. Please invite other people. Yeah, thank you so much. See you next time.